my friends are simps. I am not feeling the freshest today, it has to be said. Last night was quite a big night, and today I can't really be arsed doing anything, but I do want to make some music because I've been doing loads of gear related videos lately, but not really doing anything, well, not for a couple of weeks anyway, actually just making stuff. So I am going to be spending my lazy Sunday afternoon, which I probably shouldn't tell you what day it is because that kind of ruins my schedule. Anyway, lazy Sunday afternoon making some music. Now I am going to show you what I'm doing, and I guess we'll see what I can make in a few hours. Because I'm feeling so low energy today, I wanted the kind of laziest, most easily accessible way to start making music, and so I picked up the Polyend Play. It's ideal because I can sit here on the couch and build up my drum tracks without having to, put in too much brain power in there, and it's actually a lot of fun to use. So I've loaded in a whole pile of samples from my collection onto the Play. I've built up a bunch of sequences, and the plan is I'm going to run this through my Yamaha A3000, which is a sampler but also a live effects processor that's got some really nice effects in there, including some downsampling, which gives everything a really nice digital fuzziness, which I really, really like. The only other thing I know I want to use is the Commodore 64. I've got 2 SID chips in there using a SID to effects. I've done a video on that if you haven't seen it already. But I want to play about with that a wee bit more because I haven't used it very much lately. And I think the kind of, digital aliasing from the A3000, the drums of the Polyend Play, and the kind of nice analog sounding warmth, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, from the C64 should all come together quite nicely. But aside from that, I've got no real idea of what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see what comes out, and so this video could end up being a huge pile of steaming shite. Okay, so here's the setup I've got going on. Down here is the Polyend Play. I've got all my patterns in here, and I've basically just been playing them through, but triggering different repeat effects and things using the perform mode, which means that I can, trigger, I don't know, fucking reverbs and replacements and I don't know, whatever the fuck else you want to call it. That's really cool for making an otherwise fairly boring drum track sound a bit more interesting. I've got it all slaved up to logic here via my ERM multi-clock to keep everything nice and tight in time. The MIDI's coming out via my Endorphin shuttle control so that it can go out to the modular and all that, but I'm not really using that just now. The audio is coming out into my Yamaha A3000, which, as I mentioned, is a really cool multi-effects unit. I've got 2 compressors on here to beef up the drums, and also, if I click the right button, you can see that I'm recording, or passing it through at least at 22 kilohertz lo-fi, which gives it a nice crunchy aliased sound. So for the next portion, I'm going to record some Commodore 64 here. I have a Kerberos cartridge plugged in the back, which means that I can just quickly boot up SynthCart, which is my SID thing. And here we are. This is SynthCart. I'll need to plug in the audio. The basic idea is that I've got the Commodore 64 hooked up to the Polyend Play over MIDI. You can probably hear how noisy those SIDs are. That's just part of their charm, I guess. But if I change the note on here, it should play the Commodore. Nice. Of course, I don't know how to get the note off. Maybe if I... So now it's a matter of hooking them both up so the drums are playing at the same time as the sequencer is running for the Polyend Play so that I can write some stuff on the C64. So as you can probably tell, it's getting a wee bit late here now, but I've got all of the main elements of my track ready. I've recorded the drums, I've recorded a whole bunch of stuff from the Commodore 64. It's all been sequenced by the Polyend Play, which is synced up to Logic, and that's meant that I've been able to go back, listen through everything that I've got recorded in there, chop it up into different sections, found the bits that I liked and wanted to keep, and arranged it into kind of a rough composition that I can then start to build upon. The next stage is for me to kind of make this sound a wee bit more like a song and less like a collection of loops. And to that end, I think what I'm going to do next is run the lead lines of the Commodore 64 through something called the Data Bender from Qubit Electronics. It's this module where it kind of glitches up things with kind of digital style errors or CD skips and things like that. I really love it on things like drums, but also on melodic parts because it can add quite a bit of texture and give you melodies or kind of a delay type effect that you wouldn't get from other standard delay modules or anything. So I'm going to use that, and hopefully that'll inspire me to, you know, have different sections. And then from there, I'll have to figure out what to do. I think I'll be adding in some different synthesizers, possibly the Mini Freak, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm fairly sure that I'm not going to get it done tonight, so this is probably going to extend longer than I wished. But at least I've done something today anyway, and that's more than can be said for what happens when I'm usually hungover. So. Okay, so I may have spoken too soon in the sense that I think I've actually completed this track, or at least taken it as far as I'm going to for the time being. I started mucking about with the Commodore 64 lead lines, running them through the Qubit Data Bender. I got some interesting textural bits and pieces, but it wasn't really scratching the itch or doing what I was looking for. I wanted a wee bit more depth, so I took them and again put them through the endorphin effects Milky Way multi-effects module, which is quite hard to say actually, but I added in a bit of reverb, and also there was a wee bit of modulation in there. I don't know if it's a chorus or something, whatever it is, it sounds good. After that, I then added in the bass line from the C64, and I ran that through, I think it's a feedback module called a preamp module. What the fuck am I saying? It's a preamp module based on an old Boss mixer. I've talked about it in other videos, but it kind of gave a wee bit of grunt to the bass side of things. Then, you know, I just spent about an hour or half an hour, I can't really remember, going through and moving everything around, processing it in Logic, and that's kind of it. I don't think it needs anything else. So all that's left to do now is play it out, and you can see what you make of this. A track made with a Commodore 64 from a very tired and fragile man.